Hey folks, welcome back. It's the big barn build. Today the sun's out, which means we're going to get the machines out. We're trying to get the footings prepared, ready for our brickwork, and also have a go on the lawn and some patio prep. So you've missed a bit, let me update you. Right, we're on the GoPro because it's nice and easy when things are dirty and dusty. So I've been working on the lawn. Lawn's looking okay over there. Of course, it needs to come to here. So I've done some rough levels and seed it because I'm impatient. Really, it needs a good going over, but maybe we'll save that for a year. For now, we just want a green lawn for the summer. Anyway, all of this we've scraped out. Now we're going to get some geotextile down. That's going to be put some crushed concrete down and type 1, and that'll be a path that kind of goes along. 1500 wide, goes along, goes out to a 4 meter wide or deep patio, and then goes back to a path at the far end. We took a few of the old purlins out of the stack, so we're using those as a temporary border. So in time, well, basically the type 1 needs to come up to the top of there now. The membrane's already down. In time, we need to build that lawn level up ideally. For the patio to be the right height with a 50mm fall over the 4 meters, which is a 1 in 80, which is about right, and to have a level threshold over there, we want to end up with a kind of a long step down onto the lawn, and in which case we don't want it too much more than one of these. So carefully tracking all this in. Obviously we've got our glazing now, which makes things a little bit more tricky, and then we will in time be getting the roller back again. Once those concrete footings are in, then we'll get that road roller, and that just 10 times better than a whacker plate, and that means we can go up and down here a few times, have an absolutely solid base. And it's still going to be another year or more, probably more, before we actually get any slabs down. So that means we've got even more time for things to settle down and level things out. So I'm going to get that another dumper load up here. It's a little bit squeaky bum, but we should get it down, and then we're going to go for a bit more membrane down here because we haven't got any geotextile here yet. Right, it's looking a little bit messy because this is kind of a mishmash of some quarried pit sand, some crushed concrete, some type 1. But when we get closer to the last probably 50mm, because we've got more type 1 on top of this when we actually come to do the slabs, then I'll switch to using the clean type 1. When we dragged out loads from the back end of the barn, we kept it separate, so that stuff is just proper type 1 40mm to dust. So we'll use that because that will bind tighter and it will give a usable finish for the next year or so, especially once we roll it with that big roller and get it really wet as we're doing it. So we've got concrete to crush still, muck heap, topsoil that needs to be sieved through really, and then this is all the clean type 1. Yes, there's a few weeds, but only in the top. This will bind up really well, so, well, it already has in the rain. So that for the top, and whatever's left will go in the track. But first up, we're trying to use up a bunch of this crushed concrete that we had crushed back this time last year. Alright, you're missing all the action. I was on Rupert duty, and we just had our TB test for the cows, so I had to try and get them in whilst Tom carried on. But we're just back on it now, so that's our 10th dumper load, probably more than that, which is insane. I mean, if you were to be buying this in by lorry or bulk bag, it would just be ridiculous. That's a 5-ton dumper, and we're just getting through loads of it, which makes me wonder how much crushed concrete we're going to need to do the track. We start on the track in a week or two, and that's 300 meters long and quite a thick sub base we need there. So it'd be really depressing if we have to start buying in a load of material for that. Right, back on the levels today. We've taken it all the way to the other end. We've stopped short where we need to put in the downpipe, but we need to bring a bit more soil up. The grass is finally taking. Eventually this is soil height, so once that is really established, that grass, I can start adding to it. Then we'll just keep overseeding. Obviously I'm not 100% sure how well this is going to blend in with that. It's the same seed I'm using. Garden Imports, our friend Ryan there, he's sent over a bit more seed, so if you're in the market for any lawny stuff, I'll put their link down below. He is who sent out the leveling lute, which is awesome bit of kit. We're using it. I'm doing some grass down at the bottom yard at the moment, and same thing, just really good way of getting everything level.
Now, I'm sure you're all sat there wondering why on earth I'm focusing on getting a patio and a lawn done when we don't even have internal walls or cladding or anything like that. But, you know, we're in control of our own project and we can do things in the order we want to. But the main reason is it's party time. Rose's birthday was the weekend after this, so we wanted to get it safe and usable so we could use the garden room and the outdoor space, and hopefully no one would need to go into the building site and there's enough space for people to enjoy the outdoor area. Now, the other reason is this is our garden as well as being a building site, so although we don't need to be going in and out of the building itself, this lawn I wanted usable for the summer. It seems a shame not to be able to use it as outdoor space, and a lot of people who are doing self-builds or working on a building site of their own, barn conversion or a big renovation, the outside normally gets neglected right till the end, so you end up with this lovely finished house just surrounded by mud and just carnage. So I thought we'll try and keep on top of it as we go through the project, which just means that everything looks a little bit more complete from the outside.
Right, hopefully that's got less of the big bits in it, and hopefully that's the last time I have to drive up that steep slope, because it's a little bit hairy.
But to update you a little bit on where things are with the build and the scheduling of what Tom and I are going to be up to, the first fix electrics have been going in, so James has been here doing some of the wiring. We've now officially placed our order for all the oak beams, so they should be with us in the next week to 10 days, which means we can start on all those oak frame elements that are going to sit outside the glazing on the outside, and we are very, very close to making the decision on our facing bricks. As soon as that's ordered, I think they're made to order, or there's a 4 or 5 week lead time. So all of our red brick will be showing up on site, and that's basically what we're planning to do for the next month or two, is to get all of the outside envelope of the house looking finished. We've still got to do the cladding, the guttering, and loads of trim work around all the glass. And then hopefully that basically means we've got the outside to a point where we can go into autumn knowing that we are hands off there, we're completely weatherproof, and we can then just take our time and focus on the inside.
Well, I can't tell you how much we've put down now. It must be getting on for 30 tons at least to be able to bring these levels up. Right, bright and early start, ready for a concrete pour, believe it or not. We're kind of going back in time. Thought groundworks was over, but it's not. So all that prep work we did last week to sort these footings out should now pay off. All of this, if we rewound 12 months, we probably would have poured the footing for the barn, for the new walls, wider. No, sorry, not wider. We did the proper width, but we would have come up higher. So it doesn't really make sense to leave yourself 3 or 4 blocks below ground level, then have to bring up block level up to DPC and then backfill all the blocks, because you can't really have a big open cavity below ground. So you end up using the same amount of concrete and a load more labour, because at that time we were paying someone to lay the blocks below ground, so it just didn't make sense. Anyway, so we learnt our lesson. We've shuttered everything in. Well, now I reckon I can get the lorry to pour straight into these ones. We're going to sheet the walls. They should be okay. Then hopefully get it into here. I went for an S3 slump, so I'm hoping, which I guess is loose-ish, but if needs be we might add a little bit of water, because this one they should be able to shoot to there and we can pull it along. These blocks get taken out as we go. And then the last bit is up there. Now it doesn't look much. That's 20 meters along here of rough terrain, which we need to sort out in a minute. But this one is particularly deep because the ground sloped off. Therefore we needed wheelbarrows, and it's not really gone to plan. So we've got this one here, got another one which I've just bought a wheel for because the tire's blown out, and then this one, I found this around the back of the barn that was left on the farm. That's Tom's wheelbarrow, so that one had ruptured through the tire, I think. So this one I'm just trying to get off and then we'll be sorted. Well, when things don't turn up on time, you get time to sort out and tidy. It hasn't looked this tidy in months, a lot of months. So we're definitely clear enough now for the lorry to get to the majority of it. We're going to take them right up onto the hard sanding here, and then we can get there, reverse back to where the dog is to get that far corner. I've run the plate compactor up and down here just to make sure that there's no lumps and bumps, because, you know, heavy loads. That's nice, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. Well, he's compacting our pipe in for us. Yeah, it's going nice. I'll just whiz them out after. I'll go along with it. Well, I'm afraid you just got stuck with a time lapse there, but you know, all hands on deck to get that done. But it's all, well, we're 2 hours in now and it's absolutely solid, and nice to see the back of that. Here's how we're looking. It's super smart, exactly where we wanted it. We came up about 1 barrow short, so we're just going to top that up next week at the end there. But it's funny, as soon as you clear the yard, the place looks absolutely massive again now. Saddle stones are here, so that'll be one thing to get done next week. There's a bit of block work down the side. Saddle stones will be set in and then we'll take our measurements from there. But this is along the west, so I'm just going to barrow a few bits up. We got little one's party at the weekend, so we're going to try and get this fairly level. But there we go, that's what it's like. We haven't come all the way along with the type 1 because we've still got to run our downpipe here across to the drainage. One question I've got, I guess, for any of you drainage fans, is we're using 150mm underground pipe, probably 150mm down pipe because of the size of the roof. What gully? Well, a quick search doesn't reveal they're all 110, so I don't know, is it, maybe I'm looking for the wrong thing. We need some sort of gully, I guess, where the downpipe's going in, a trap before it turns horizontal. Maybe there is such a thing, but I couldn't see anything, and I need to know what it's called so I can go to the merchants and ask for it. So we need 4 of those, obviously, and then one of them we'll need to tie in some eco drainage into, but that's way down the line. Right, a bit more grunt work to get this end done. We're using up these purlins like we did last week, so we've put in here, we've got a bit of a fall on this, coming from the patio back down to ground level at the back. So this can be backfilled, it's got membrane backfilled up to the height of that. Obviously that's a fraction higher than here because it's still got to put our bricks on there, but this is absolutely solid. I mean, I haven't been down that long, but it's already fine to backfill against. This side will all be soil because that's all going to get planted up. So we couldn't get the dumper up here anymore because she's too big. So we've got type 1 there, which will pull along. We'll bring the digger up. Tom's just doing one final dig of the day, so he's loading it with topsoil. And I somehow going to try and bring the dumper up and tip it to there, not to here.
well, it's no bowling green, but at least it's getting green. We're gonna spend this weekend putting a bit more on top of it. It was green enough for the party. We used it and we got some decent outdoor space. We've got a week of rain ahead of us, which is great because behind me it's basically a desert of a farm. We've got the 5 acres at the top, which is just not growing, even though it should be. No livestock on it. I've taken everyone off the bottom meadow as well. That won't take much rain to start kicking off again. But anyway, back to lawn. Hopefully this week we've got rain coming. So this weekend, bank holiday weekend, I thought one evening project for the kids. If I dump 1 load of topsoil up there and 1 load of compost from the muck heap from last year, we'll use that drum spreader, which kind of takes out all the bits and pieces and the stones, and we'll just go over it, and I think we'll be able to correct the levels enough. Then we'll get a weekend of rain, a bit more seed, and hopefully then we're okay. Remember, a lot of that ground, well, all of this ground this end I've built up over time, over the past year or two, and while it's nice and level and we've got that level that and the height we wanted, it's just the subsoil and it's quite sandy stuff, and while it might look green from here, over the far side it's really infertile soil. So we want to put some good stuff on top of that now and just really kind of grow that soil quality. The middle bit is kind of okay because that's original ground height, plus we've put a load of muck and compost and stuff there. And then this new stuff, well, I mean, it blew around most of that seed and we didn't have much rain, and the dogs and the chicken and everything's been against us, but hopefully we can get that kick started again with a bit more goodness. So unless it blows away, we've got a usable patio space. We bring the furniture out. What I have realised is 4 meters is not enough for a regular sized dining table. I mean, yes, we're a bit bumpy and slopey here, so we can't really use the full depth of the patio at the moment, just because that last bit tapers down. But even when that's at height, I still feel like you want a good meter either side of the table and chairs, which we just don't have at the moment. So I think in time, when we come to do the patio properly, I'll probably put a proper retaining wall, bit of brickwork maybe, just 200 high, another meter out, maybe 600 out, and that'll just make it a bit more usable. Now, I appreciate there's been quite a lot of chat in this video because I was trying to explain things and explain why we're doing things. I'll quickly show you the outcome of the footing and why we've got to the point we're at and what's next. So the reasoning for the whole footing scenario was we'd already done our footing to the right width, but we just left it too deep. We should have mass filled all the way up to the height we wanted. We were trying to, you know, they were already quite deep down there, and I was thinking, well, it saves on concrete, but it really doesn't, because otherwise you're laying blocks below ground and backfilling it. It's the same amount of concrete. If anything, that concrete's been formed into blocks and transported from merchant to merchant, and it's probably even more, well, I don't know what's greener. But anyway, we should have mass poured them up to the height we needed right at the beginning and saved ourselves loads of block and brick and lintels and stuff. Anyway, we're there now, so that's going to be brick straight away over here, brick up, DPC, and then brick again. Brick goes up to the window sill height, and then it's timber cladding above. We've got saddle stones. I've ordered some nice little sandstone saddle stones. They are going to sit on that block work, so 50 mil of that will be hidden by the time we've got the patio in, but that's okay. So we'll see those. We'll have brickwork up to them, and brickwork will finish up to the oak as well, and we'll do that, and basically the oak posts end up where the old steels were, so it will have that same visual look. There's one there, one in the middle, and one at the far end. I've gone for 6x6 posts for the uprights and an 8x6 across the top. Then of course the front door has a huge amount of oak, like that whole oak screen in front of all the glazing there, but more on that when that arrives, because we still need to work out what goes on behind the oak. Here, for example, we need to put a black metal sort of barge trim around that central pillar before the oak sits in front of it, so we need to make sure that that's all in place before we can lift the oak frames up. And then finally, I've got a little question on mechanics, because I know you lot know a lot more than I do. There's no point in me going over there right now, but that truck has been sat there for about a month, and every time I do need to use it, I have to roll it down the back of the hill there in reverse and jump start it, or bump start it. I don't know if it's coincidence, but there was a rat that was trying to get into the bonnet and that kept on going in there, and I finally got rid of it, or the dog got rid of it. Could there be a wire nibbled? I don't know. I've charged up the battery a few times. It doesn't want to start. It'll jump start, it'll bump start, but the starter you can barely hear turning over. So I don't know, is there a connection somewhere that someone could lead me to? I can't even begin to think where to start on that. But if anyone's got anything, a 3-stage process, what I should be checking. I think the battery's fine, the engine runs fine, everything runs fine. There's just something that's stopping the starter from doing its thing. Earth lead maybe, but a rat's not going to chew through that surely. Anyway, let me know. I'll leave it there. We've ended up somewhat usable outside, and hopefully, like I said, over the next 2 months this is going to be transformed. The outside of this will become less building site and more finished house, even if the inside is just a shell. So we'll have all that nice brickwork, we'll have the cladding on the ends, the corrugated cladding, all the oak framing around the windows, and it's going to be well, one step closer to how it will eventually look, and guttering as well, which will be very much needed as we go into the rainy season again. But I'm going to leave it there. Thank you all for watching, and remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.